Welcome to another episode of Not for the Weak-Minded. Now, I was doing some research into trying to find other things about nano-smart dust, and I stumbled upon this article by University of Oxford. Now, what you're going to read, I've already read it, but I'm going to read it to you anyway, is that, toxic air pollution of nanoparticles have been discovered in the human brain. And that what I propose to you is that, excuse me, this has been connected to partly the rise in mental illnesses and sickness. Not just the television, not just the pollutants in the water or the food, but also the air. And so without trying to, if you believe this to be genuine, which it is, then what I'm trying to say that, they've spread nano smart dust too as part of the excuse me, as part of their trillion sensor vision project, and this has to do with a thing called Li-Fi. And now that's designed to control you, essentially. But anyway, it's not that far-fetched then, if you believe what this article was just about to say to you. So toxic, and this article was produced in 2016. So toxic air pollution, nanoparticles discovered in the human brain. A team involving Oxford University scientists has for the first time discovered tiny magnetic particles from air pollution lodged in human brains, and researchers think they could be a possible cause of Alzheimer's disease. Don't forget that dementia as well, and that has to do with more the food and unfortunately cannibalism, because abortion's not exactly what you think it to be either, and I can show you a lot of dark things to do with how they keep the fetuses and how that goes into the food industry, and a product that Nestle was putting in called Cinemax, for example, in their foods, which has been discovered to be baby placentas. So anyway, switching topic, but it's all relative. It's all part of the bigger picture to see how we've been dumbed down and made ill, because our government should not be trusted. They're the ones that have been doing this the whole time to implement their solutions, which most people are desperate for now, not knowing that there are other alternatives too. So researchers led by Lancaster University found abundant magnetite nanoparticles in the brain tissue of 37 individuals aged 3 to 92 who lived in Mexico City and in Manchester. This strongly magnetic mineral is toxic and has been implicated in the production of reactive oxygen species, or free radicals, in the human brain, which are, essentially cancerous, which are associated with neurodegenerative diseases, including Alzheimer's. Cancer, essentially. They're causing our body to react. Problem, reaction, solution, you see. So the results have been published in the journal Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. Professor Barbara Mayer from Lancaster Environment Centre and colleagues from Oxford, Glasgow, Manchester and Mexico City used spectroscopic analysis to identify the particles as magnetite. Unlike angular magnetite particles that are believed to form naturally within the brain, most of the observed particles were spherical with diameters up to 150 nanometers, some with fused surfaces, all characteristic of high temperature formation, such as from vehicle, particularly diesel engines or open fires. Now there was a thing to do, there's so much to do with what can be brought out from this article if you look into the increase in sales in diesel engines and how the people responsible for the pollutions coming out have actually said, nah, there's nothing to worry about whatsoever, and increased and allowed this to go on. Unfortunately, they planned this a long time ago. The spherical particles are often accompanied by nanoparticles containing other metals such as platinum, nickel, and cobalt. So those things are in your head. And barium, aluminium, and nano smart dust could be too, right? From geoengineering. Professor Mayer said the particles we found are strikingly similar to the magnetite nanospheres that are abundant in the airborne pollution found in urban settings, especially next to busy roads, and which are formed by combustion or friction heating from vehicle engines or brakes, particularly diesel engines. So co-author and lead experimentalist Dr. Imad Ahmed from Oxford University's Department of Earth Sciences said, using high-resolution transmission electron microscopy and electron diffraction, we were able to show that the presence of extremely tiny crystals having the unmistakable signature of magnetite, with sizes ranging from 10 nanometers up to 150 nanometers in diameter. The vast majority of the observed particles were spherical, a key distinction from angular biogenic magnetite that are believed to form naturally in the brain and other organs. You see, a lot of people don't really understand that we are actually made of tiny particles of metals too, and that how that knowledge goes into petrification, for example, and the formation of gemstones and tin and gold and all sorts of things, depending on how they die and, you know, the situation, what happens. So the amazing thing is that the discovered particles have almost the same shape and surface texture of magnetite particles formed during high temperature combustion of fossil fuels used in car engines, power stations, or even the smelting industry. The identification of elements associated with crystal structure of brain magnetites provides convincing evidence of the high temperature and pollution origin of these particles. Dr. Ahmed believes that the identification of pollution-derived brain magnetites has been delayed for many years, mainly because of the difficulty of isolating the magnetic particles without the introduction of metallic contamination artifacts during the experiments. That's true. One of Dr. Ahmed's key contributions to this research was the development of an experimental system for the isolation of nanomagnetites from brain tissues under strictly inert conditions, helping the tiny particles to maintain their structural and chemical identities. While it is still debated whether the response of brain magnetites to external magnetic fields, such as the Earth's own magnetic field, which is not what you think, obviously, which is why you need to understand the pyramids and the Great Pyramids of the world and how they work, can cause health damage, and the stars can cause health damage. Dr. Ahmed believes that the outstanding chemical and electrochemical reactivity of magnetite surfaces may be the key link to a range of neurodegenerative disorders such as dementia, Alzheimer's, and epilepsy. Professor Mayer added, our results indicate that magnetite nanoparticles in the atmosphere can enter the human brain where they might pose a risk to human health, including conditions such as Alzheimer's disease. So there you go. This is my point, that, you know, we're all infected already with, now, from this article, tiny particles of magnetites, and also nickel, barium, aluminium, and what I'm trying to say to you is tiny particles of smart dust. So, please be warned, we're all infected, and the next wave of technologies is bad for the human body when we're infected with these metals, and we must not let it roll out. Unfortunately, 5G is literally already being rolled out in the country, and so many people are going to get affected by this because it's microwave frequency technology, military grade designed technology. They plan this, and this is why I'm trying to warn you. We need to stop it. Please share, like, and subscribe.